All right, this is day 8 of this journey. I want to turn your attention to 2 Kings chapter 7, verses 3 and 4, and it reads, "And there were 4 leprous men at the entering of the gate, and they said one to another, 'Why sit we here until we die? If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit still here, we die also. Now therefore come, and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall but die.'" Oh man, I'm really excited about this word today. I want to talk today a little bit about unafraid, being unafraid. These 4 leprous men found themselves in a situation where they actually were benefiting from all of the trials and all of the mental anguish that they had experienced up to that point. In fact, the city there in Samaria, where they were at, was experiencing famine. Now, prior to the famine, these men were leprous men, so they had already become accustomed to sort of mental trauma, if you will. And so everyone else now struggling with famine was kind of now the playing field was being evened, so to speak. And so these leprous men, because of their past, had an advantage mentally. And the advantage was that they were already accustomed to the notion of being rejected or being an outcast. So mentally, they were already more prepared to deal with the anguish of the famine. It was only those who were in the city now that were having to adjust to the famine. But these men had already known what it is to be hungry. They had already known what it is to be on the verge of death. And so they sat there at the gate and they reasoned with themselves and said, why sit we here till we die? If we sit here, we're going to die. If we go into the city, there's famine there. We're going to die. He says, well, let us fall into the hands of the Syrians. And if they take us, they will save us alive. But if they kill us, we shall but die. It was like they were saying, what's death? I mean, ain't nothing going to happen, but we're going to die. Well, we've been preparing for that all along. And I just believe that the Most High sometimes structures our lives to where we become so acclimated with the notion of death and the notion of dying to the point that you become unafraid of it. And you're willing then at that point to put yourself in adverse situations so that you may have the possibility to live. And I believe that is a very healthy mindset, a healthy mindset of being unafraid to die. Many of us here dealing with this pandemic and dealing with all kinds of things, the notion of death is all around us, whether it's the struggle between nations, the pandemic, the military struggle, the threat of wars and what have you, even the social issues and this threat of civil war and the war of the races and police brutality and all this stuff that's going on, all these shootings and all this stuff that's happening in the world. If you have the proper perspective, that will actually lead you to a place where you will seek life in a place that is adverse. In other words, these men chose to go into the hands of the enemy, to the Syrian camp, because at least there was food there. And I believe spiritually, all of this negativity and all of this death is leading us to a place where we'll be willing to do strange things just to have the chance at gaining some spiritual life and gaining some spiritual significance out of these things. Many of us wouldn't pray like we are praying now until all this adversity has come upon us. Many of us wouldn't be dedicated to reading and study of the Word and the study of the teachings of our Messiah and living them if we weren't dealing with all of the negative things that we're dealing with. And so these four lepers, I'm really encouraged by them. I preached a message once. The topic of the message was not here, not now, and not like this. You know, let's get up. Hey, what do we have to lose? If we go and if we start praying, if we start fasting, if we start reading His Word, if we start doing these things that the Most High has asked us to do and beckon us to do, ain't nothing going to happen but death. Well, if you're unafraid to die, and then perfect love casts out all fear, then you're at a place where these men were. You're in a place of action. Let's go and fall, if necessary, to the hands of the enemy. We're not afraid of the enemy because we're not afraid to die. We're not afraid to die because it's been hanging over our head for so long. So that's the word for today. I pray that you are blessed. Be blessed, my friends and all of my people. We love you. Continue to pray for us, and Lord willing, Yah willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Be blessed.